Hello everyone and welcome to the continuation of the Goldmoney Asian Rapid Knockouts. We are now in the semifinals and the four semifinalists are Vladislav Artemiev, Ding Liren, Magnus Carlsen and Levon Aronyan. And the first game we're going to cover is actually the third game from the match, Vladislav Artemiev versus Ding Liren. The match started out pretty equal. The first game ended in a draw. Then the second game was won by Ding Liren, and now Vladislav needs a win to bounce back. So can he work his magic like he did against Anish Giri, or is Ding maybe in too good of a form? Because often it will be Ding either plays extremely well or he is just unstoppable. So let's see what happens here. We have knight to f3, Artemiev going for the Reti opening. We have d5, g3, knight g3, knight to f6. We have bishop to g2 and c5 now. So the Sicilian variation of the King's Indian attack. We have castles and e6 now. We have d3, bishop to e7, and the white attacks in the center with e4. And here it's quite a known position, but it hasn't been played all that many times. There is one very notable game in the database where knight to c6 was played. Karyakin played this, and he defeated Peter Svidler in the 2014 Candidates Tournament. But here we have castles by Ding, and it is already as of move 6 that we have a completely new game. We have queen to e2. And now knight to c6. So just continuing development, we have a4 and d captures on e4. We have d captures on e4 and e5 now, so you can develop your light square bishop to e6. We have c3 by white, now controlling this knight here on c6, and now developing the bishop to g4 wouldn't really make all that much sense. The queen can always move since the bishop already guards the knight, and you don't have access to these squares to maybe jump in with your knight, so you can maybe pile up on this knight. So bishop g4 wouldn't really make all that much sense here. So bishop to e6, seemingly the more active move. Knight b to d2, and now queen to c7. We have knight to c4 now. With a double attack on this pawn here, but also it's just a very nice square for the knight. If black wants to get rid of it, he's going to have to give up his light square bishop. So here, rook 8 to d8, and now knight to g5, trying to get rid of black's bishop pair. White wants to capture here on e6, so bishop to g4 attacks the queen, and Artemiev just defends with f3. Ding has to go all the way back, and now f4. So Artemiev really doing well here, and his pieces are pretty much all assuming optimal squares. You still have to develop your dark square bishop, connect the rooks, but other than that, your position is looking great. So bishop back to g4, we have to take the space left behind, and now queen to c2. We have h6, kicking away the knight, and now knight back to f3. And only now e captures on f4. And now Ding was able to mess up Artemiev's pawn structure in front of the king a little bit. G captures on f4, and now bishop to e6. You could also play bishop captures instead of g captures, which doesn't ruin your pawn structure, but it's nothing much to look at for white. And Artemiev is already losing the match. He has to bounce back. So here after, for example, queen c8 or queen to d7, black doesn't have all that many active ideas. Here, at least he brings a little bit of an unbalance into the position, and now he has these pawns here controlling a lot of squares. He can push them, he can do some damage maybe. So here, bishop back to e6 by Ding, attacking the knight here, and now b3 defending. And now knight to h5 with a double attack here on the f4 pawn. So e5, blocking the queen's attack to the pawn here, and now queen to d7. We have knight f to d2, now shifting the knight to e4 as this square was now freed, so you can get the knight all the way to d6 or maybe even f6 in some lines. We have f5 by Ding, now taking away the square from the knight, and now, while you could capture here en passant, it's nothing really all that dangerous. After knight to e4, the rook can come to g6, and now it's actually black who's attacking. So instead, after f5, we have queen to d1, now remaneuvering the queen with the pressure on this knight here, and now queen to e8, defending the knight while exposing the d file to the black rook. We have queen to e2 now, unpinning, and now g5. Ding knows that this is how you have to play this. You're going to weaken the e5 pawn, and you're going to break through the position here. So f captures on g5, h captures on g5. Now Ding has two very, very strong pawns here that he's ready to push in front of Artemiev's king. We have knight to f3, with a double attack on the g5 pawn, but the Ding, of course, just defends it with queen to g6. And now knight to d6. A very tricky move. You want to get rid of one of the defenders of the g5 square. So if you go for this capture and then capture here, we can just capture on g5. And then white's position is much, much better than it was if this wasn't played. But luckily, this wasn't played in the game. After knight to d6, Ding just continued pushing. He played g4. Now comes knight to e1 and now f4. So those pawns are now monsters, and well, you just know that f3 is coming at any moment. So here, bishop to e4, not allowing this double attack to occur. But queen back to g7, and now knight captures on b7. Artemiev just boldly grabs this pawn, attacks the rook, and he says, all right, now you're going to move the rook, then I'm going to bring the knight back. But the Ding doesn't. Ding just plays knight captures on e5. He removes the defender of the d6 square, and now the knight doesn't really have a better option than to capture the rook on d8. So here, knight captures on d8 was played. We have bishop captures on d8, and now here comes a very nice move, and that is knight to d3. But this is only nice because, well, it doesn't work. So feel free to pause the video here and try to find the deadliest possible win here for black while I give you a couple of seconds. So for those of you who were able to do it, congratulations on not playing f3. f3 is very nice, and you will win the game, but it's not as deadly as the move I'm going to show you. Just to show you f3, the problem is we can play bishop to h7 with white, and this kind of gives black a lot of hope. It doesn't matter what you capture the bishop with. We can always just pick up this knight here, and now the queen is defended, and although black is still much better, you will still have to work for your meal for some 20-30 moves. Who knows? So instead, knight to f3. That's the good stuff. This comes with check, and now, of course, the knight cannot be captured. If it's captured, then the white king is in check, and the queen is attacked. You're going to lose the queen here. So instead, after this check, we have king to g2, but now comes knight to h4 with check. King to g1, and now only now f3, as now this is much, much stronger. So what do you play here? Here we have the same idea, bishop to h7 check, so the bishop on e6 will fall, but it doesn't matter. King captures, queen captures, and then now comes g3. So the queens are still on the board, and the Ding is just enjoying his attack very much. So what do you play here? Not a lot of options here for white. Queen to e4 check was played. We have rook to f5. Ding just blocks this. And again, how do you continue? We have rook to a2, adding some support to the second rank, but just g captures on h2. A double check, so the king has to move, or capture on h2. So king captures, and now bishop to c7 check. All of Ding's pieces are piling up on white's king. And now if you go king to h1, we can just play knight g3 check. You lose the queen, and you will get checkmated very soon. So instead, knight to f4 was played, blocking this check, but as you can see, this is also completely unplayable. Knight captures on f4 was played. Bishop, first bishop captures, then comes bishop captures with check, king to h1, and now queen to g3. And here you really don't have any good moves. Ideas like knight to g2, then followed by queen to h2 checkmate are coming, or you can just play, well, you can't move the rook since the rook is pinned, but you really don't need to. There's enough to do without the rook. So here, queen to e7 check. Artemiev tried checking a few more moves. King h6, queen e6 check, king to h5, now queen e8 check, but now we block. Knight to g6, and now you can even play something like king to g4 and then bring the rook over to h5. You don't even have to worry about rook to g1. It's such a good position, but not while the knight is hanging, obviously. But there are many things you can do here. So here, rook f to f2 was played, really trying to grab hold of that second rank, but just king to h6. Now black unpinned, and now the knight can also move. We have rook to h2 with check. But now rook to h5, as the h5 square was now freed for the rook. We have rook captures, king captures, and the queen to e6. So here you again can win in a lot of ways. f2 wins, king to h6 was played in the game. So queen to e4, and now we have f2. Now the rook's defense of the h2 pawn of the h2 square has been blocked. Now queen to h2 is the threat of checkmate. Queen to g2 was played here, but now Ding just played queen to h4, and it was in this position on move 50 that Vladislav Artemiev resigned the game, and another excellent victory for Ding Liren, who by winning both the game 2 and the game 3 and drawing the first game wins the first match. So Artemiev will have his work cut out for him tomorrow. He will have to beat Ding in the first 4 rapid games, the 4 tie breaks, and then hope of doing well and then reaching the finals. Like I said, Ding either does extremely well or he's unstoppable, and here it seems just that he was unstoppable, and it seems that it's really going his way, since most of these tournaments he had to play like really early in the morning. Like I think he started like 2 a.m. and then he played until maybe 5 or 6, which is okay. I know you can get accustomed to it, but everyone else was playing like in normal time zones. But for chess players, I know any time zone is a normal time zone, and you can play chess whenever you want. But still, he didn't seem to do all that great, even though he claimed that it did not affect him. But here, he's playing in normal time, and he seems to be doing really well. So we'll see if he will be able to beat Artemiev and grab a spot in the final. That's the game. Hope you guys enjoyed it. I would like to thank Leander Moderson, Konstantino Bucci, Vlad Laru, Lokas Teokaris, and Melanie Peters for a contribution to my channel. Thank you a lot. I really appreciate it. As usual, you can check 2 of my previous videos here. Thank you for watching, and I will see you soon with a game from the other match, Magnus versus Levon. So stay tuned for that. Thank you all. I will see you soon, and have an excellent rest of your day.